Albert, thank you so much for joining me. For everybody else in the audience, our guest today is Albert Hazan, founder and CEO of Pop Creations. Before I dive in, just a quick 2 minute summary. Albert is one of the leading players in the licensing game. They are teamed up with some of the biggest names in the industry, and they sell across the US and different parts of the world. But Albert, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick snapshot and a quick background about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, Rashad. So we are a designer, manufacturer, and distributor of home products, primarily licensed. We focus on pop culture licenses such as Disney, Warner Brothers, which is DC and Harry Potter, NBC Universal, Nickelodeon, Sonic the Hedgehog, properties like that. We distribute primarily through bricks and mortar in the United States, and we're trying to build up our Amazon presence right now.
Albert, thank you for that. E-commerce and Amazon and Walmart and Shopify and eBay, all of these buzzwords get thrown about. How has e-commerce been for you, and how essential would you say e-commerce is for a business like yours, which primarily has focused on bricks and mortar?
It is definitely extremely essential these days. Not only do we notice that a lot of retailers ask us to be on their websites in order to support the bricks and mortar business, but the licensors themselves want to see that we have a healthy online business. Whether we're doing great sales of bricks and mortar or not, they want to know that there's also an online presence. They do their own promotions on their Amazon web pages, on their own web pages. They want to see that we're performing online, and they want to be able to link to our listings on Amazon or other websites for the promotions that they do.
And in your business, are you okay with other sellers selling the same item that you have brought in? Would that be okay for you, or do you have exclusivity over your products and your designs?
That's above my pay grade, but the people who know a lot more than me always say not to have someone competing with you. And
Absolutely.
if someone does want to sell your product on Amazon, make specific different designs, different product types specifically for them that don't piggyback on your listings. So that's how we do it.
Understood. Albert, pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, the e-commerce landscape has gone through a shift. Um, it's become very apparent now that any business, no matter what size they are, they need to have a presence across the marketplaces, and to create that brand equity, they need their own web presence. How has pre-COVID versus post-COVID been for you?
Pre-COVID, there was less competition from Chinese suppliers. Being that my product is licensed, the competitive dynamic is a little different. I'm not supposed to be competing with someone that has a very, very similar product. But counterfeits have popped up since COVID all over the place. And we monitor it on a weekly, monthly basis. And the last time, 2 weeks ago, we looked at, for example, Disney Princess. 50% of page one results on Amazon for Disney Princess wall art were counterfeits.
You're joking, really?
50%.
And Google hasn't done anything about this?
Different licensors work differently. Paramount, Nickelodeon, they're probably the best. They take things down pretty quickly. NBC Universal started to take it seriously. They're also taking things down quickly. Disney and their sub-brands, Marvel and Star Wars, don't really take anything down. So you're spending a lot more on advertising to get your product on page one when it's a Disney product.
That's shocking. That's Learn something new every day. That's
Me
really
too.
shocking. So
Yeah.
your advertising bill must be going skywards to keep up with all of that. But
Yeah. Products are the
how do
highest.
you but then how do you attack and challenge the counterfeit market?
There's no way to do it. I'm paying a royalty to Disney, and the Chinese factory is not paying royalty to Disney, so I can't compete on price. Um, my designs are nicer because we have access to the Disney style guides and the most up-to-date art and all that, and the things that I'm competing with are sometimes, drawn by someone who doesn't have the approval of Disney, and so sometimes the product is not as nice, but it's hard to compete with a price that doesn't have to pay a royalty. So there's not much you can do absent the brand owner flexing their muscle and forcing Amazon to take down listings.
Post COVID, have you seen a influx of Far Eastern, specifically Chinese sellers entering the selling space?
Yeah, when you look through the listings and you look at the country the listings are coming from, definitely China is a much bigger part of that. I think that Amazon Global Logistics makes it a lot easier for them to do it, handling the logistics on the import side. Because 5-10 years ago, if you wanted to list something on Amazon, you'd have to have a domestic warehouse that's going to keep all your stock, and from there, you flow it into FBA slowly. And a lot of factories in China are not going to open a warehouse or open a contract with a 3PL and start paying storage bills and all that. And so Amazon Global Logistics made it really easy for them to just ship stuff to an Amazon distribution center in China and flow it out from there.
Amazing. Albert, especially here in the UK, what we're finding is a lot of sellers now, depending on the category and depending on the products, of course, they're now looking outwards of China for manufacturing. So Poland and Bulgaria have become favorite hotspots for a certain number of products. Turkey is climbing the ranks extremely fast. We're even seeing countries like Pakistan come on the map for lots of textiles and houseware and homeware items and kitchenware items coming. For your business, have you ever considered, or do you currently have a second location or a second country outside of China where you would recommend, or you would say that, yeah, this is where the opportunities are?
I've been doing importing for 21 years. I've done apparel, I've done gifts, I've done home decor like I'm doing now. And unfortunately, Donald Trump doesn't realize this, but you can't just pick up and move to another country. They don't have, and it's not just about cheap labor. They don't have the entire supply chain within 20 miles of the factory that's going to do the final assembly like China does. And so because of the Trump tariffs, the extra Trump tariffs on China specifically, we've been trying to move production to other countries for our specific home products. It doesn't work. It has to be a product that is that country's strength. So we do a lot of, because we're doing Marvel, DC, Star Wars type of stuff, bright colors and 3D aspects to it, a lot of plastics and printing on glass with digital machines and things like that. We've tried to do it in Vietnam. We've tried to do it in India. They can't do it. If they would even be able to do it, they would have to import every single component from China. And so if you want to be successful in one of these other countries, you have to sell something that is that country's strength. So if you're doing stuff in India, you want natural mango wood, you want in the houseware category, they do globes, they do cutting boards made of marble and mango wood combinations, they do hammered brass, they do cast aluminum. You can't just pick up your product and decide you want to make it another place. It doesn't work like that, except for textiles. Textiles, when I was in the clothing business, all you need is some sewing machines. And we were doing business back when there was quota in America where you can only bring a certain amount of
Mm-hmm.
product from a certain country, and China was pretty much blocked. We were bringing product in from Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Nepal, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Thailand, because we had to get visas for every single individual component of a set for children's, a short set or sweater, something like that. And so that was able to be done with clothing, because everyone can produce clothing. All it takes is a sewing machine. When we first started
Yeah,
doing business in Bangladesh, they didn't make any of their own textiles. They would import everything from China. And then slowly they started dyeing locally in Bangladesh. So they would buy the gray fabric from China and they would dye it in Bangladesh and cut and sew it in Bangladesh. And then they started knitting the fabric and weaving the denim in Bangladesh using yarns that they imported from China. And then 5 years later, they opened yarn factories in Bangladesh. And now Bangladesh will do everything from yarn to fabric to cut and sew.
absolutely. Bangladesh is a major international player. Really interesting, really interesting. Um, there are some unfortunate series of events happening in the world right now. Logistics is definitely a challenge. Have you seen an increase in shipping prices, container prices, and how has that impacted your business overall?
Um, I've definitely seen increase this year and in 2022 because of the COVID, all the container ships being docked off the coast of LA. 57 container ships waiting to berth. We went through all that. $22,000 container prices. At the moment that we're speaking, we're 50% above where we were 4 months ago before the Houthi attacks, in
Wow.
terms of shipping prices. You roll with the punches. It's a negotiation with the retailers that we work with. You can't, when you put something on Amazon, if your price goes up 50% for freight, I can go on Amazon and increase the price if I choose to. When you're serving retailers in America, you can't really do that. You got to call up the buyer and now negotiate and tell them, freight prices went up, I need to raise the price. And they say, well, my other suppliers are not. Can you hold it? It may go down. And it's a whole negotiation when it comes to bricks and mortar wholesale.
Albert, what is the future of bricks and mortar wholesale, retail?
Off price, I would say. TJ Maxx, Burlington, Ross, customers like that, where the value proposition is good for the end consumer. The end consumer is, I guess, smarter than they used to be. They're not really shopping at the Sears and J.C. Penney where you'd go in and the top line ticket price on something was $44.99, but on Wednesdays it's 37% off. And if you have Kohl's Cash and it's a Tuesday that's rainy in the second week of November, then you're 50% off and you have to bring a graphing calculator with you to figure out the prices. Those retailers, they're gone, right? JCPenney's gone. Sears is gone. Kohl's is not doing well. The guys that are doing well are the ones that make a clean 50% profit margin, same low price every single day. You have a good selection of items that changes on a every 2-week basis. We don't really get reorders for the same design from our off-price customers. They want to switch up the designs. They want it to be a treasure hunt for their consumer. So what they're coming in, they see, one piece left of a Spider-Man frame poster on the floor. If I want it, I should buy it now because there's only one left. And I know TJ Maxx, I know that it's not going to be here. They're not going to reorder it. It won't be here in 3 months.
And where do you see bricks and mortar stores in 10 years' time?
It's probably going to get more and more specialized where it's going to be things that can't be done online. So a hammer, nails. I don't think I've been to a hardware store in God knows how long, and I don't ever plan to. I can, search online and find 20 different hammers and choose the best one. My product, wall art, is a little bit difficult to sell online. Some of the more popular sizes we have are very large sizes, and the FBA fee for them would be about the same as my entire retail price at a store like Ross. 24 by 36 canvas that I sell at Ross for $24.99, 24 by 36 on Amazon, the FBA fee is probably close to $24.99. So I don't see a way around that. You can't fulfill something like that, deliver it to someone's house without a high cost to the delivery aspect. And
some
so,
unfortunate bad news is FBA fees are going up. There's been some announcements they're going to be going up. Shipping fees are going to be going up. With the rising costs of transportation and logistics, and do you feel that we're now fighting for the cents and fighting for the pennies?
Yeah, we get squeezed every single time. The customer, my customer, the retailer, obviously does not want to raise their price on the end consumer. We saw it during COVID when container prices hit $16,000 from two. We had to raise the price on some items, and they went from $9.99 to $10.99, and the sales volume per month dropped by more than half for a $1 increase in price. And so we have to take that decision to probably absorb the price increases if we think it's transitory, and hope for better days, because the customer does see the small price increases. That being said, my business is focused on discount customers. So someone selling to Nordstrom or Neiman Marcus may have a different experience. That customer may be more willing to absorb a 10, 15% retail price increase, but we've discovered that our end consumer will not.
Wow. Especially in your licensing game, there's always that percentage of royalty where that needs to go back. So that must squeeze your profit margins even more.
And I'm not selling underwear or eggs. You don't need a Disney princess canvas for your wall. It's a nice thing to have. If the price is right, you'll pick it up. But you don't need to have it. And so if your gasoline prices are going up, if your egg prices are going up, my product is discretionary, and that's going to get cut.
Wow. Albert, this brings us nicely onto, I think, the importance of profitability. In your own words, how important is it then now, given the rise in prices, the rise in storage, the rise in transportation, the increased storage fees, whether it's FBA or your own? How important is it to stay on top of your profitability?
It's important, and it's getting more and more difficult because of everything that you just described. We're getting squeezed everywhere, and for my bulky product, I also have to look at the product and say, is it worth $34.99? If it's selling at retail for $17.99, can I get $34.99 because of the delivery fees, storage fees, FBA fees, all that? It's a challenge. The profitability is definitely a challenge, and it's more of a challenge today than it used to be. Amazon fees have gone up. Profitability can easily get lost where every year my Amazon 1P co-op and other chargebacks are going up, and FBA fees are going up. It's easy to lose track of it unless you have something that's reminding you all the time. Every time you look at it, some kind of dashboard that's telling you, here are all your costs going into this in one place. Let me see what my profitability is. Where are my weak points? Where are my strong points? Can I raise the price, or is it something I have to completely drop?
That's in a nice way great to hear. Would you say then WhatSales has become part of your day to day? Is it always open on a browser? Is it on your app?
It's always open. It's something easy to look at to monitor what's going on, and it gives you instant gratification that you don't get from selling bricks and mortar retailers. where you'll get sell-throughs once every 2 weeks, if even they give it to you. So Amazon is a small part of our business now, but it's that instant gratification is nice. So I do keep it open all the time, and it saves me time because, again, I'm not a big Amazon seller, and so to go in there and to develop custom reports and all, I'm not going to do that for the amount of business that I do right now. Hopefully it goes up in the future, but for the amount of business that I do, I need something that I can look at quickly that's going to give me the basics of how my business is doing on Amazon, in terms of, what do I have to refill in terms of inventory from my warehouse in LA to Amazon? What do I have to reorder from the factory to restock my warehouse in LA? Where am I spending too much on pay-per-click? Where am I not spending enough? Where I have more room to increase ad spend? Which products are dogs and should be killed? And which products should I develop offshoots of because it's doing better? So being able to see that at a glance in one place makes it easy for me and makes me do it more often than I would if I had to go digging for all this information. I'd get lazy and I'd do it every 3 weeks, and the business would suffer for it.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Albert, we have a fantastic relationship. We stay in touch. WhatSales, you were one of the early adopters last year. If there was one element which drew you to WhatSales and making it part of your day to day, one thing, what would that one thing be?
The quick and easy access to the 2 or 3 pages that I use the most. What's my best-selling items week to date, month to date? What inventory items are I low on? And where my reviews, what am I having trouble in reviews? So I noticed by using WhatSales to review all the reviews, I'm looking and I'm noticing a couple of people are complaining about getting shipped the wrong variation of a product. And it ended up being an Amazon FBA mistake, which we were able to correct and have those incorrect reviews removed because it wasn't our mistake. Whereas, in the past, it probably would have just got buried and, no one would have noticed. But the fact that WhatSales puts it in your face makes you notice these things more.
Fantastic. I'm really glad that WhatSales has been able to add value in your business. Albert, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, it's become easier and easier for somebody to get into the e-commerce space and become a seller. What advice would you give to somebody who has traditionally focused on the bricks and mortar and has now decided to transition into the e-commerce space? What advice would you have for a seller like that?
Choose a small product.
Something that's light and easy to ship and send.
Still earrings. Just go into earrings. That's it. Big bulky items are a pain in the ass.
Absolutely.
In Walmart, big bulky items do sell well, especially to discount customers. They equate size with value. So, a piece of gold that's 5 inches is worth less than a piece of canvas that's 36 inches. And so for my product, it's online selling is a little bit challenging. And so we have to customize the product to Amazon. And it's something that we've learned. We can't just take something that we sold to a bricks and mortar customer and list it online. We've been more successful with configuring products specifically for Amazon in terms of size. We do have more flexibility in producing items with lights or special features that if it was sitting on a brick and mortar shelf, you're not going to see the features. It's not really going to sell. You have that ability with Amazon to put a video up there and to show the features of the item. And so I would focus a lot more on products like that you're not going to have bricks and mortar competition, which is going to be cheaper competition because they don't have to pay for door-to-door shipping. Focus on products like that where you can't really do it online. You can't do it in store where you have to display the product and someone has to show you how it's used.
You're so right. You're so right. You're so right. Albert, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this case study session, and I'm sure lots of people are going to gain a lot of value. I certainly have learned so many things from this session today. Parting words for new and experienced sellers.
Parting words. I don't know. I don't take advice from me. I don't think I'm doing it right.
And very lastly, will you be recommending WhatSales to other sellers, be it in your network and out of your network?
I already have.
Already do.
I've recommended to a couple of my friends who do more online selling than me, to maybe replace a lot of their import CSV, Power BI, all that other stuff that you do to visualize things, and sometimes can be a pain in the ass. I bring all the data from Amazon into WhatSales, and it just makes it a lot easier to see.
Albert, you've been a star. Thank you very, very much. And I'll catch up with you soon.
Yes, thank you, Rashad.